guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Rauha and I'm from a beautiful country called Namibia. So, this is my experience living in Malaysia as a Black person. Now, without wasting time, can I just start with the fact that Malaysia is so underrated? And this is a comment I've heard from a lot of my visitors that came from Namibia to visit Malaysia. And I don't know what it is or why people keep saying that, oh, I never knew Malaysia was like this, or I never knew Malaysia was this developed, I didn't know that Malaysia was this beautiful. And I'm like, how don't you guys know that? And who are you guys hearing Malaysia from, right? So, to be honest, you guys, Malaysia is a beautiful, beautiful country and it is so developed. It is so developed. Beautiful infrastructure, modern technology, and you've got the best transportation system. It never disappoints. I was a student here and I've also worked here. So, it was very, very convenient to use the MRT and LRT. And honestly, I've never faced issues because the LRT comes around almost every other minute. So even if you arrive at this time or that time, it is available for you to use at your convenience. Now, I have heard people saying that, oh, I didn't come to Malaysia because I've heard this and this and that about them. But I am here to highlight you guys on the truth that I've lived here in Malaysia. Like I've mentioned earlier, I have studied in Malaysia, and after studying in Malaysia, I also got a job in Malaysia. So I do have a lot of experience living in Malaysia, and I also know a lot of things about Malaysia that a lot of foreigners or tourists might not know because they did not live here long enough. So let's start with the first things first, racism. No, people might tell you that, oh, Malaysians are racist and whatever the case, but I am here to tell you that Malaysia is actually one of the safest places you can live as a Black person in Asia. It is extremely safe. It is extremely safe, and there is no such thing as police brutality. And when I talk about police brutality, I literally mean that you never hear of things like the police shot someone or the police killed someone. You know what I mean? It is something very rare. I'm not saying it will never happen, and I'm not saying that there has never been an attempt on a Black person's life, but I'm telling you now that this is something that you will probably never, ever witness as someone that is a Black person living in Malaysia. The police will never just pull out a gun and decide to kill you. We don't have that here. The only thing the police does is really just ask questions and you answer the questions, period. Right? You might get a bit of summons here and there, or they might try to maybe sometimes bribe you for whatever the case, especially, I mean, if you're an illegal foreigner here and you don't have papers and whatever the case. But for them to just resort to killing you or beating you, no, guys, no. Malaysia is so safe for foreigners, even in terms of police brutality issues. We don't have things like that where the police kills you or anything similar to that. If anything, the police is just really, checking you out. That's it. So Malaysia is very safe for foreigners. You don't even have things like, where you have some countries and these people throw things at you or they call you weird names and slurs. Malaysian people don't do that. The only thing you might hear sometimes is maybe from people that are not really well versed on the term Negro or nigger. They tend to say Negro sometimes. I've had people actually say that in a taxi, but I did realize that, oh, this taxi driver doesn't actually know that the term Negro is offensive. So obviously I didn't take any offense. I mean, it's guys, if you've never had an education on why something might be offensive to someone, you can't blame the person. Like, for example, I've realized that people that actually call you Negro in Malaysia, they think Negro means a Black person, but they don't know that it's actually offensive. So why would you take offense on that? That is a very, 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 I think, something that you can just either excuse the person or you can kindly tell the person that, oh, this is actually not right. You cannot say that, right? Now, in terms of diversity, I think this is one of the reasons why I personally love living in Malaysia. Once you come here, you feel so welcome because you are not the only Black person here. You are not the only African person here. You are not the only foreigner here. Malaysia has so many foreigners. They've got everyone. And I always tell people, I literally told this to a girl that came to Malaysia last week to visit. She is a Namibian. And I told her that the whole world is in Malaysia. You've got the whole world in Malaysia. And that is what I love about Malaysia. Everyone is here, which just makes you feel even more comfortable, you know? And in terms of getting the weird look, no, you guys, you don't get a weird look in Malaysia. Malaysians know foreigners. Malaysia come across foreigners all the time. They meet foreigners on the train, in the malls, in schools, in the bus, on the everywhere, in parks, even in places like Langkawi, Penang, everywhere foreigners are there. So they don't have any reason to give you a weird look as if you're something weird or something that they've never seen. No way. Malaysians see foreigners all the time, so it is not surprising to them, and they'll never give you that look. They might just maybe stare at you like we all stare at people. Like sometimes I see someone and I look at them, just maybe wondering, oh, that's a nice hairstyle, or maybe I like their bag and I'm looking at their bag. But it's not to say like, oh, I've never seen a black person like, who is this, or why do they look black, or why do they? No, guys. Debunk that and do not even entertain it when someone says that. Malaysians don't do that. They know foreigners, they are used to us, and Malaysia is packed with the entire world in one place. It is so diverse. In terms of religion, no one really cares what you are because Malaysians themselves are diverse. They've got three races: the Malays, the Malay Chinese, and the Malay Indians, right? So, or the Indian Malays, I'm saying it vice versa. So they don't care what religion you are, what race you are, because they have different religions and they've got different races. So your religion is nothing new to them, and it's not something that should bother you or anybody. And then also in terms of like, I think going around and stuff like that, a lot of us can actually agree that, to be honest, Malaysia is safe to that extent, not just for you as a person, but also in terms of your personal belongings. Obviously, after COVID hit, there has been a bit of more theft and pickpocketing, but no, guys, Malaysia is safe. People don't even go about their day like grabbing handbags, grabbing cell phones and stuff like that. They don't do that. You are safe. People just don't go around robbing you and stuff. They don't do that. So yeah, the only thing really is obviously there's this thing where Malaysians sometimes do feel like maybe not all Malaysians, obviously some Malaysians might think like, oh, everybody is from Nigeria, and as you guys know, Nigeria does not have a very good reputation in Malaysia. But whatever the case, they still don't go about their day like treating black people bad or anything like that. It's just that because of the history that Malaysia has had with Nigerian people, they are also trying to be like a bit careful, but that does not mean that they treat black people badly. They still don't, despite that. They still have room for the possibility that obviously you might be from Tanzania or you might be from where, and also they understand that not all Nigerian people are bad. I mean, there's so many Nigerian people that are married to local people and they are not doing any bad things. So guys, that has been my general experience as a black person in Malaysia. I've not experienced, like cold racism. I've not experienced things like, being called names or being stopped to enter transport or like anything weird like that. If anything, I absolutely loved Malaysia. I felt at home, and Malaysians are so kind and helpful. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. If you meet Malaysian people, out of 10 people, I can almost tell you that 9 people are going to help you if you're lost or if you need information. Maybe that one person who's not helping you, it's not because they don't want to help you. Maybe it could be a language barrier. And to be honest, even though Malaysians are the kind of people who like to mind their business, they wouldn't just approach and start talking to you, or they don't just say hi to random people. Like, in my country, for example, people say hi all the time. They wouldn't just walk past you. Malaysians like to mind their business, and as much as they have that mind my business look, trust me, when you talk to them, they are quite the chatty people, and they will actually help you and they will actually communicate to you. They just like to lay back a bit, but they are very, very chatty. They're happy people, they're helpful people, and they're just really kind. That's what I can say. Like, to be honest, if you've lived in Malaysia, you'd know like Malaysian people are kind and they're so helpful. So that is my general experience of living in Malaysia as a black foreigner. there are no issues here, and they're not no actual real issues. You just have to make sure that you respect the people, you respect the law, and you are not being a nuisance in other people's country. Then obviously you wouldn't face any issues here. Of course, I've heard people saying things like, oh yeah, they're so racist in terms of accommodation. I don't think they are racist in terms of accommodation, because even in my country, it's the same thing. There are some people, when they want to rent from you, you need to be careful. So I think, again, because of the history that follows the pattern of how some foreigners have obviously not paid their rent, or they've damaged some properties in the house and ran away. Because of that, landlords are trying to do their due diligence to be careful on who they rent out their properties to. And I think it's the right thing to do, because you wouldn't just want to rent out your property to someone that you don't know. So they try to make sure that they have your correct documents, they know who you are, where you work, where you study, etc. And they also understand that sometimes people use other people to rent their properties. So they are trying to be careful on who they're renting to, because they don't want people that are not paying their rent on time, or people that are damaging their property and then run away, right? So while I do think that sometimes it has a negative impact, I also understand why it needs to happen, because when I came back to Malaysia for work, I had a similar experience where I was finding it so hard to find an apartment, because most of the agents are like, oh, the owner doesn't rent to black people, the owner doesn't rent to black people. But I wasn't finding offense, because I already know that, yes, there are some owners that don't rent to black people, but there are also some owners that are happy to rent to you. And thank God, I actually had a very, very wonderful Malay landlord. She was the most beautiful. She was the kindest. She was so nice. Never had any issues with her. Even when she came to the house to meet me, we had such a beautiful conversation, and we just have a really good relationship where we respect each other, and we had a very wonderful relationship. So ideally, you just want to find a landlord that understands you and you understand them, and you have a good relationship, rather than fighting for a place where the landlord is, you guys don't really vibe well. Just try to get a nice landlord. I mean, in my country, it's the same thing. You might actually end up with a landlord that is not nice, and at the end of the day, you always just end up fighting with your landlord. So the ideal thing to do is to find a landlord that accepts you. It doesn't mean that you won't find a good landlord. Right, guys, without wasting more time, that is all for today. This is Life with Rauha, and if you guys have not been to Malaysia yet, you are very welcome, whether it's in terms of tourism. Tourism here is such a wonderful experience. I've been to almost everywhere in Malaysia. I've been to the Terengganu area, Genting Highland, Cameron Highland, Malacca, Penang. I've been to Perhentian, Terengganu. I've been to almost everywhere, guys. I've been to Port Dickson. I've just been everywhere in Malaysia. So tourism is wonderful. You guys are welcome to visit Malaysia. And if you want to study here, this is definitely a student hub. There are so many schools, and there are so many international students. I had an amazing, wonderful studying opportunity, and I was surrounded by just diverse people, and I really, really love that, because you get to learn so much about other people's countries as well. And if you want to work here, you are also very welcome. It is a very nice working environment. It's very convenient. Food is cheap. Transport is affordable. People are nice. The weather is nice. I personally love the weather. And I hope you guys will love Malaysia. And again, Malaysia is very underrated. So make sure you actually visit Malaysia to truly, truly understand the beauty of it. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a nice day. Ciao.